All right, welcome back to day 8 of the 60 Days to Automate Challenge. And we're on day 11. And we are going to be going over content creation automations over the next 5 sessions. So we've already set up our automation tools. We created a basic assistant that can summarize our emails, check when we're available. We can have it create tasks for us in Airtable, and even help us find files and summarize and use AI to help with our file management. And then we built a Sidekick yesterday, bringing it all together. And this week we have a jam-packed session lined up. We have persona-based content strategies today. We're also going to be writing blog posts with AI tomorrow. We're going to be talking about how we can use AI to automate those social media captions, how to use it in your image generation process, and then also to how you can bring it all together and create personalized newsletters based off of all of the other content that you've created that week. So today we're going to be starting with persona-based marketing strategies and how to create them. Because at the end of the day, no matter what business you start, no matter what you're trying to, whether you're trying to tell a story, sell a service, or sell a product, you have to ensure that your marketing and your ability to get their attention, you have to ensure that you're able to get those customers' attention. And the best way to do that is to go through an exercise by creating customer profiles. These are targeted personas that you believe would benefit the most from your product or service or from hearing your story. So today we're going to learn about how we can use AI to create those personalized communications. We're also going to go over how we can connect our Sidekick to the internet. So everything that we've done so far, we've been connecting to your own email and your calendars and your individual files. However, if you ask a Sidekick just out of the box, something about the internet, it can't do it. And we're going to show you how you can connect that to the internet so it can work just like Perplexity or ChatGPT's new feature, or I'm not going to even say Bing's Copilot. Much better than that. And then we're going to go over a Sidekick that I've built called the Persona Sidekick. And we're going to build some personas for a company that we're going to be using throughout this course. And excited about that piece. So before we dive in, I want to really talk about why persona-driven marketing matters. So you want to be able to align your story, your products, your services to whatever the interests, whatever pain points you're trying to solve for that user. You want to make sure that you're talking to your audience in the way that's just going to most resonate with them. Because at the end of the day, we have had companies have only been able to talk to individuals on a one to many scale, meaning you'd have, what's your company brand voice? How are we speaking about our products and services? Well, with AI, you can flip that on its head. Because your story of how you sell your products, your services, does not have to change, but how it's told, the use cases, the analogies, the relating it to things they may already know or purchase, or influencers, or whatever's based in the media consumption that they have. This is going to make sure that your message really resonates with that target customer, so that they don't have to do a lot of brain cycles to know what you do or who you are. We're always learning on this. Myself, I'm always learning on this. And then two, at the end of the day, if you can't capture their attention, doesn't matter what you sell, and no matter how good it is, if you can't capture someone's attention, doesn't matter how good your product is or how great your service is. because you'll never be able to give, or you'll never be able to attract anyone to be able to show them how to use your product or how to the benefits of your service. So at the end of the day, I always start every business I begin thinking about who my target customer is, how am I going to talk to them, and how I'm going to sell to them. Because at the end of the day, when you're building a customer persona, you want 5 things. You want their demographics. What is their age, sex, their location, their family status, their level of education. These are all very important things to really think about when you're thinking about your target persona. You also want to think about their psychographics. So what are their values? What are they interested in? What kind of lifestyles do they lead? What are things that, trigger them? What are things that get them motivated? These are all things that you want to get into the mind of your customer so that you can best tell your story in a way that relates to those values and those interests and those different lifestyles. And we'll show how that can relate when we're building our different personas here and how different they can be. Also, their media consumption. How do they actually consume? If you're marketing to, for instance, with my mom, I was talking to her about she has a senior living or aging in place and getting or enabling elderly people to age in their own homes. How you market to them versus maybe their children or maybe their grandkids are going to be very different. They're going to use different ways of consuming. What works well for her is still just a handwritten note. Whereas if you're looking for TikTok or for a younger generation, you're going to be looking at TikTok and things like that. So how does your target persona and target customer receive media, and how do they get information, and where is their attention directed? You also want to identify their pain points. So this is a very important piece too. A lot of people talk about how great your product or service is, or how this is going to be revolutionary. Well, you want to start by addressing the actual challenge or the problem of why this person is seeking out a service or a product. Because at the end of the day, they're just trying to find something to fix their pain points. So you want to make sure that you're identifying what those pain points are so that you can put your messaging according to, it really helps them to relate to. Those are the different pain points when using your product or service. And what the current competitors are out there too. So you're creating a product or service, you're doing it because you feel that you can add better value compared to your competitors. So what are those different pain points that they may have on your competitors' platforms? And then finally, you want to talk about their purchasing process. So you want to understand how the audience actually goes about making a decision. Is this a business executive that requires steak dinners and lunches and a lot of attention? Is this just, hey, I want to quickly try it out? I don't care about, what's on the marketing website. I'm an engineer. I just want to get in there, give me a demo and I can figure out if I like it or not. There's a lot of different ways that people will go about purchasing your products. So you really want to define these. So once you've defined these, you have your demographics, your psychographics, your media consumption, what pain points you're trying to solve, and how they go about purchasing products and services like yours, you're going to be creating much more targeted content just out of the gate. You start layering on your own specific service and products and how that relates to these pain points. This is where you can get very good content that is creative, that is in your own voice, but still talks to your customer the way that they best receive information. So one of the things that we're going to be doing today is connecting our Sidekick to the web. Now, why do you want to connect it to the web? Well, if you're using ChatGPT or if you're using any of these services like Search and you don't have the Pro, or if you're not using something like Perplexity, if you're just using just regular, if you asked an LLM, if you remember from day one, their time is cut off. So by connecting it to the web, you're going to give it access to the most current and up-to-date information. It also helps to give it a little bit more contextual understanding, because one of the things around the difference between a large language model and a product like ChatGPT or something like that, or like Answer AI, is that think of the model as it knows just a lot of things, right? But it's not really sure exactly what exactly you want to know about this. Plus, it may not necessarily have been trained on that particular niche, or it may not have a lot of extra information. So by giving it access to diverse web sources and more up-to-date information, it can give a lot better responses than just a regular asking ChatGPT or a regular chatbot. And also it will reduce hallucinations, because you can usually tell it to say, hey, use the context that's in your information that's on the web, use that to generate your response so that it has some of the most up-to-date information. And to do that, we're going to be using a tool called EXA AI. EXA is a tool that I came across a few months ago, and I've been using it pretty regularly for connecting Answer AI and my sidekicks to the web. It does use an advanced kind of neural search, which basically uses advanced AI models to give a lot better than just like 10 blue links. And it really gives really contextually. I found in my processing and in my testing, this was the tool that was giving us really relevant and really good results based off of the web content. Also, too, it gives us access to real-time data. It's constantly crawling new URLs so that they have the most relevant. And then it also is very developer-friendly. So they have a very good API. We love APIs in automation because we can hook them up to N8N or Make or Answer AI as tools. So by having such a great and robust API, it allows us to really get all the benefits of the web search tool feature, which is a pretty hard problem to solve. Trust me, I tried all last year to solve it, and within Answer AI, and I finally landed on just using EXA AI and even Google custom web search, which I'm not going to go over in this one. If you want me to make a video about how to use custom web search, happy to do that. But that's another option that we've been using as well. But I found that EXA gives a little bit better results than Google's custom web search. So that is what we're going to do first. So today we're going to be going through 3 different use cases and 3 different things. We're going to be first connecting our sidekick to the internet. And throughout this today's session, we're going to be using Answer AI, which is built on top of Flowise. So a lot of these automations that you'll be learning this course can also be used in Flowise AI as well. We're going to be connecting these personas to Airtable using N8N, and we're also going to be using EXA. So let's go over to Answer AI. So the first thing that we need to do before we start using EXA is we need to go to EXA AI's website. So EXA AI. Now, when you come here, you try API for free. You can actually give it a little try. I can go here and connect with Google and use my demo. And when I put it in here, one of the things that I love about all these AI companies is that it makes it very easy. How do I get up and start using with this? I've actually used this chatbot. It's very helpful with EXA. So for instance here, how can I get started with using a simple search? Now, because this is a developer platform, it's probably going to give me code, which if you're not a developer, don't worry. We're not going to be writing any code in this session. We're just going to be hooking this up. But if you do have questions about it, I have used this chatbot pretty well. That's what but in order to get started with this, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to API keys. As you can see here, by default, it's already given me a key that I can use. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this to my clipboard. Now, in order for me to start using this in Answer AI, I need to go over here to credentials. There we go. I'm going to add a credential. And if I just type in EXA, here we go, search API. So I'm going to say EXA AI, and I'm just going to put my key in there, and I'm going to add it. And that's all you have to do. Now we can start using the EXA AI tool in our Sidekick. So that was it. So now we got to go in and create our new Persona Sidekick, which is what we're going to do next. So we're going to use the Persona Sidekick, and we're going to connect this tool to the internet. So let's jump into Answer AI, and I'll show you how to do that. So in order to create the Persona Sidekick, I'm going to go in and I'm going to click on Chat Flows on the bottom left. And if I click on Answer AI supported, and I click and I just search for Sidekick Starter Chat Flow. If you remember, this is a template that you can use. It'll be in the show notes. I can click on this. This is what I use to start all of my sidekicks. And I'm going to say use as a new flow. This is going to give me a starter here, and I'm going to choose I got to set up my OpenAI credential. I've already set it up, so I just need to choose it here. I'm going to use 4.0 as the model. And then instead of this custom tool here, so we used a custom tool and a bunch of custom tools in our last session, we're actually going to use one of the built-in tools. I know we started off with the harder ones, right? Well, now that you know how the tools work on the custom end, you kind of get an idea of how they're working with these built-in. And we have a bunch of built-in tools here. So for instance, we have a Brave Search API, which will search the web. We also have EXA Search, which is what we're going to be using for this. But we do have a few other searches as well, tools. So Google Custom Search. We also have the ability to use Search API. We also have what's called SERP API, which allows you to do the search engine results page. Great for SEO, which we'll learn about not this week, but I believe in week 6 or 7. We also have the ability to just, give it a web browser for individual pages. So there's lots of different tools, but because we want this to kind of search, and the way we're going to use this in the Persona Sidekick is to enhance our personas based off the latest trends in the company that we're going to be creating, which is Travel Smart AI. So we're going to be creating a persona for, and this is going to be a company that we're going to be using and setting up throughout this entire course. My goal is to actually create this as a company that is then ran completely by AI. That's the goal. So Travel Smart AI. Let's zoom in here so I can kind of talk about this and what this is going to be about, because we're going to use this to generate our personas. And this is good. I just have a brief idea of a company that has a few different features that I'm thinking would be kind of cool. So here, the different features. So creating personalized itineraries. We want to focus on business travel solutions, optimizing schedules, recommending work-friendly accommodations, and suggesting productivity-enhancing activities. We want to target adventurous and budget-conscious travelers with AI-crafted itineraries featuring, some of the unique and trending destinations with different local culture and budget-friendly options. And then we also want to offer luxurious travel experiences with AI optimization for exclusive accommodations, concierge dining experiences, and networking events. We also want to create it and have real-time travel assistance. So being able to have an agent that can kind of help with booking these things, integration with local services for transportation, dining reservations, and event tickets. So like kind of customer support and being able to take action. So we learned about tools in our last one. We're going to be able to create tools for each of these using Answer AI. Also, interactive travel plan management. Being able to consolidate all of the travel details into one kind of platform. Like, maybe you have a Google Doc that you're working with your friends that you can kind of consolidate and use. You can start to, give this to everyone as well and integrate with calendars and productivity tools. There's two types of travelers out there. There are the ones that don't want to have any sort of schedule, and there's ones that want to have everything scheduled. And we should make it for both personas. We also want to share experiences and allow for social, and then also encourage user-generated travel content and make it so that people can, hey, what do I say about this place? How do we make it easy for, these local businesses to get really good reviews? And then how do we make this sustainable and ethical? How do we, promote eco-friendly travel options for people? And how do we, get local businesses and local individuals to help support kind of community-based tourism, which is really great when you're traveling overseas to kind of try to use some of those community. And they're also some of the best, if you're going on a tour or something like that, they're always great to just get a local and support your local communities when you travel overseas. So what's our business model going to look like? Well, we're going to have freemium. So, can you just come on? We want to have free access to basic planning features. We want to have access to premium services for personalized itineraries and real-time support. So these are going to be the basic, just free. Then we're going to have affiliate marketing. So we want to give it out to free. So we want to collaborate with different like airlines, hotels, local businesses, and use affiliate, perhaps maybe like, hey, here's the, with Amazon, having affiliate links for the different blog posts throughout this, to be able to sell different items. And then we want to have a more higher end, something that might require your own self and your own, selling. So offering tailored travel management solutions for businesses and executive travelers. So maybe, options for planning those company offsites, things that require more of a sales process, which we'll then use next week to really talk about how you can use AI to perfect your sales pitches, close those bigger high ticket deals to really help grow the business. So our launch strategy is going to be to engage with travel influencers and bloggers to create buzz and reach a diverse audience. So we need to first define those audiences, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to launch a Travel Smart Challenge where users share unique itineraries for rewards. Wonder where it got that idea. And then we're going to use social media platforms like Instagram and YouTube for visually engaging travel content. And we're going to learn all of the pieces of how to create the content, do the sales, launch your website, and then eventually have a chief sidekick that's running it all by the end of this. And my goal is to really show how you can build an AI-driven business based off that idea that you've always had, that you've always wanted to do a little bit better than maybe where you're currently working, and you just never knew where to start. Starting with defining your customers is the very first place I tell everyone to start if you're planning on starting a business. So let's do that. All right, so we now have our sidekick created, and all right, I'm going to go here and I'm going to connect my EXA Search tool. From the template, I removed the custom tool and I added the custom search tool from the drop down on the left when I add nodes. I then select the credential and connect it to the tools. I already have memory here, and I selected my OpenAI. And I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call this the Persona Sidekick. Save. Now, if you remember from yesterday, we are in here and you are a basic tool agent with access to a set of tools. Your role is to assist users by selecting and using the appropriate tool based on their query. And here are the tools you have available to you. So we have the today's date and time and the custom tool message. So in this case, I'm going to say EXA search query. And I'm just basically coming in here and saying, hey, use this tool when to search the web for the most up-to-date information. So everything else I'm going to leave here. We're going to change this a bunch in this one because this Sidekick is going to be very specific. But for this, I just want to test to make sure that our web tool is working as expected. So to do that, I go up in the top right, and once again, you're kind of in your testing area back here, where you can kind of test out the different tools. So here, I am going to first, all right, there we go. All right, so we now have this. I'm going to say, what's the latest news in Thailand? Used to live in Thailand a few years ago. And what we have here is, here's some of the latest news updates from Thailand. So as you can see here, it used my tool. You can notice that tools are used based off the bubble that's at the top of the chat window here. And as you can see, the output is, it has all of these different items in here. Look at how much information this returns. So we have the Muay Thai events, we have the Thai news headlines, and Thai local news. I'm going to say, what are the latest headlines? Give me links to or for tourists to know. All right. So as you can see here, we have these articles that it's searched from the web. And now if I click on any of these and I go here, I can now see that these are legit web pages. It's not hallucinating, and it's getting that information and from the web. So this is just a really, so now we can now confirm that it is connected to the web. But the goal of this is to create the Persona Sidekick. So let's take a look at, oh, 1 second. All right, so let's take a look at this system message. So right here it says it's a basic tool agent with access to a set of tools. So we want to change this to make it so that it acts more like a Persona Sidekick. So to do that, we're going to be, I'm going to be sharing with you one of my prompts that I've used over the years for this. So there we go. Don't say. All right. So, and I'll share all this. If you go to digitalatscale.com, you can download all of these prompts, workflows, and everything. So I'm just going to read what this prompt is, and let me zoom in here. So you are the user persona. Let me turn off this. I don't know why this. All right. So you are the user persona sidekick, an AI assistant designed to create detailed personas for marketing, sales, customer success, and sales teams. That's probably a little redundant there. Your task is to analyze provided information and create a comprehensive user persona following a specific process. So the goal of this is to, of this agent and this sidekick is going to guide the user through a specific process of really creating niche user personas. And the personas that we're going to be creating for this are going to be our three. I thought I'd put in here. I guess I didn't. We have three different personas, from the budget conscious adventurous traveler, to the family traveler to the executive kind of business traveler. So those are going to be the three personas that we build today. So first begin by introducing yourself and asking the user for initial information. Hello, I'm the user Persona Sidekick. I'm here to help you create a detailed user persona. To get started, please provide me with the following information. First, we want to find out, are they, creating a persona for marketing, for sales, for customer success. Right now, we're just going to be creating general, just customer personas. This will get into more, and this can be used for instance, how you talk to your prospective customers versus your engaged customers or prospects. Prospective prospects, your engaged prospects, and your customers are way different. So this can help you guide through many of these. So we're only going to be focusing on our marketing personas right now. Any additional information about your target user that you'd like to share? Any documents you'd like to analyze? You can upload them. Any relevant website URLs for me to research as well. So why we needed to connect it to the web. Once you've provided this information, I'll begin my analysis. After receiving the user's initial input, analyze the provided documents and websites. Use your tools to get the following information. Org marketing guidelines. Use this tool to get the full marketing guidelines for this organization. So we're going to actually create a tool that will get this information that is in this document so that I can get the most recent information. And we're going to set that up in N8N. And then, and that will get the marketing guidelines. And then the org website content. So we don't have a website yet, but if you did have a website, this has kind of been built. So I'm actually going to remove this piece right here for now, since we're not going to be doing this. But in the future, we will add this to our persona, because once we have a website, or if I was starting it from scratch and I already had a website, you could just put in your website to see. One of my favorite games to play with people is, does your content really resonate, or is it really targeted towards the persona you think it's targeted towards? And those are fun exercises to go through. So then, thoroughly review and extract relevant information from these sources to inform the user persona creation. Next, create the first draft of the full user persona based on the team's guidelines and the context provided. For marketing teams, follow these guidelines. Demographics, psychographics, we have media consumption, pain points, and purchasing process. So those are the same things that we just talked about earlier that we're going to be focusing on building for each one of them. We're going to present our draft persona in a clear, organized format using headings for each section so that we can have a standard heading across it, and then passing in the chat history to help inform which tool to use. Now, this is how we can also help guide users. So one important thing, one thing that I do is I always try to, at the end of all my prompts, give the user who's using this, or myself, some guidance of what I want to do next. Actions, maybe questions I want to ask. Let the AI kind of help guide, like, oh, do you want to refine this persona with additional information? Or do you want to search the web to help expand on a specific aspect of the persona? Maybe you want to compare this how you have another target persona and how it's a little different, where there might be overlap. And just give me 10 questions that I can ask the user Persona Sidekick that will help refine the persona from first principles thinking. Please enter the letter corresponding to your desired action. And we'll see. So I have this kind of these letters. We'll see how it works. But basically, usually You can make it so that if I just type R, it'll just refine the persona. E, it will just search the web. C, it will do the compare. F, give me first principles thinking. Then remember to maintain a helpful and professional tone throughout the interaction and be prepared to iterate on the persona based on user feedback. Always end with shortcut keys to inform you on your recommended next steps to take. All right, so we're going to take this entire item here and we're going to copy this and we are going to put this in here. Now I'm going to delete this because these were all the instructions for the basic. I am going to leave the tools because I do want to keep the tools for EXA Search, and then I'll add the other tool as well. So I'm just going to copy this in here, move this tools up to where I start defining the tools. All right, so we have a few tools that we need to give it in order to make it work. We need to give it the today's date and time. We've already given it the EXA Search for the web, and now we're going to hook it up so that we can get this document that I've created for Travel Smart AI to help. Just these are the basic guidelines, and we're going to do that by creating a document store. So to do that, what I can do, there's a couple of ways, and I'm going to show you. All right, so let's just add the today's date and time first. So we're going to just type in custom tool. Remember, getting today's date and time is just a custom tool. Today's date and time. Next, so now we have web, we have the current date and time. Now we need to create a brand new tool. Now I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do this. So the very first one is going to be through this document store. And I'm going to say Travel Smart AI Business Documents. And I'm going to basically store my business objectives, my marketing. I'm just going to store it all in here right now. Now, the larger your business gets, of course, you probably have a different document store for marketing, one for sales. But for right now, we're going to create one for the business. Now here I can do one of two things. I can add just plain text where I can go in here and I can just copy this in here and preview it, and I have it, and there, done. That's going to be the easiest way to get the information in there. But the problem with that is that this is static. And it's great for creating, static information using the plain text, but how do we get it so that it has the most up-to-date information about your document? Well, that's where we can use a different type of document loader, which we're going to use a basic API loader. And for this one, we're basically going to create a automation in N8N that will get all of the documents that I have in this Travel Smart AI and create all of these in this document store. So let me jump over to N8N and I'm going to create a new workflow. We're going to call this one day 11 business document. Now you might be asking yourself, why are we not just storing this business document in Airtable? We of course will put it in Airtable. That was more of an exercise around finding out the summary and finding different information because we just summarized it and we had the tags. This is more about we want the full content of what's in there to be stored as part of that. And if you remember, we're not storing that information in Airtable right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start. And we're going to use our webhook again. And now, while yesterday we chose a post webhook, we're going to use a get webhook. If you don't know about web developments, essentially get means, well, you're getting information from it. It's really just read only. A post is when you're having to write something. So take action. We're having to send something there and in terms of search information, the start date, the end date, things like that, and then get information back. That's when you want to use a post. And this is going to be all in the API documentation. I'll have more information on digital at scale for beginners, but just know that we're going to be using a get response here. And it's actually easier to test these to make sure that they're working as well, which we'll see here in just a minute. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to give this a get. We're not going to have any authentication on this for right now. I'm going to do a whole session on authentication and locking these down. But now when I have this, I can go here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, the other thing that we have to do when we're setting this up is under respond instead of immediately. We want to say using respond to webhook node, just like we did yesterday. So just to recap, we're just creating a new webhook node in in8n. We're using a get HTTP method, and then we just changed using respond to webhook node. So now let's add that respond to webhook node, and we're just going to keep it as the default. So respond with the first incoming item. So now one of the things with a get, so if I open this up and I copy this URL out here from the webhook and the test URL, and I click on the test workflow. So now it's waiting for this. If I open up a new tab and I just go to that URL, I get back a response. So the JSON, this is the actual, it talking to itself to that response. So if we go back over here, it got it and it responded. Well, what do we want to do? We want to get a Google document. So in order to do that, we go here and we click the little plus in between, and we're going to type on Drive. So we're going to say Drive, and we're going to, in this case, search for files and folders. So here we have received this file. We're going to search. We're going to leave this search query empty, and we're just going to test this step real quick. The provided authorization grants resources. Refresh token is invalid, expired, revoked, does not match the redirection URL used in authorization request or was issued to another client. So once again, it looks like our Google Drive account in here needs to be refreshed. So if I click on here and click on edit, so it looks like, yep, it's going in here. So I'm just going to say sign in with Google, click on this. The reason it's logging me out is because I have not set this to production. This is just, you might see this as well. I just have to keep reauthorizing this for it to work. Oh, looks like the client unknown client, no client authentication included or all right. So let's go and let's figure out what's going on. So in order to do that, we open up the docs, we go into our Google Cloud, and I'm just going to move this over here while I look at this. I don't expose any API keys. Okay. One of the nice things too with Google Cloud is that it gives you $300 worth of credits. We won't be using probably many credits except for a few different things on here, but they do have a nice 300. All right, so we are going into clients and APIs, and we're gonna look at the credentials here. And it looks like, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to move this over here. I'm just gonna copy these back in here just as it says in the instructions for do this. Okay. I was able to connect back again to this area. So yeah, I think that you get that error for the credential. You just need to go in there. You may need to, just to remind you where to go in and do that. So if you click on Google Cloud, you go to your dashboard for the app. So Google Cloud, choose your app up in the top here. Go to APIs. I think we even bookmarked this page because if you go here to credentials, As you can see here, we have this innate in, and then if you click into there, you'll be able to see your credentials. I'm not going to click in there because it would expose my credentials. You'll just see them right on the right. You have your client ID and your secret. All right, so now we can see we have all of our documents that are in our drive, but we don't want all of our documents. We just want certain ones. So we're going to say we just want one from the Smart Travel AI. Right. We now have this item. So here we have the ID and the name. So this is going to be so that whenever I add new files, I can now use this information. All right. Right, so now that I have this information, we want to actually get the document itself. So before I do that, I believe there's an option here. Nope, no, there isn't. All right, so we're going to, use the get document item. So here, oh, I have not created a credential for Google Docs. So in order to create a credential for Google Docs, we're going to be setting up just like if you didn't go into week or day 4 or 5 for setting this up, but let's go ahead and set this up. So we've already set this piece up. We're going to be using our client ID and the same client secrets that we just set up that we had to re-add as well. So let's go back over here, grab that information in the same place. It is in the Google APIs, and grab your information and your secret. All right, now I'm going in here. It's saying, yep, it wants to now be able to edit, create, and see all of your Google documents. Great. I now have the green account is connected. So now for this doc ID, I just drag this ID from the Google Drive over to there, and I'm going to test this step. All right, for forbidden, perhaps check your credentials. Google Docs APIs has not been used in project before or has been disabled. Here's a very important piece. So what we have, if you remember, so we need to enable scopes in our API keys. So when you go into API access, so as I'm in here and I click on and I type in documents, let's just say docs, we have the Google Docs API. As you can see here, it has not been enabled. So if I just click on enable, now that has been enabled. To see all the different services that have been enabled, you can see that Docs, we've enabled all the different items for our Gmail, our calendar. So as we start to add more services, we will add them there. So now if I test this step, I should now see an innate in. As you can see, we now have the content of this item. So now what we want to do is we're going to update this, the respond to webhook. We're going to have it get the document, then respond with the content that is in there. So the way that you do that is you just open this and it's going to return the first content item. Great. We don't even have to do anything. If we wanted to return any other information, we could. Yeah, actually going to, no, we'll just return it as is. So now that I've saved this, if I go in and I click on the test URL, and this is why I said it's easier to test these, and I test this workflow, and I open up a new tab and go to this. Now when it returns, look at this. It has the content, all of the information. Now this may not be in a format that you like it in, but it's definitely in a format that your sidekick's gonna like it in. So how do we do that next? Well, let's go ahead or look up. So if you remember from yesterday, let's go back over to AnswerAI. And we're going to say the method here is get. So, okay, so back in Answer AI, we're adding to our Travel Smart AI business documents. We're going to add a document loader. And I'm going to give this, we don't have an innate in one. It's on the roadmap. But what you can do is you can just say API loader, and you can say get. And then the URL you want to put in here is the URL that is in innate in. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this active so that I don't have to always hit the test workflow button. I'm going to say not show it again just because I've done that a few times. So when you activate it, it starts counting against your executions. Unless, of course, you're hosting your own version, which I'll show later in this course. How to both run it locally and create your own so you get unlimited executions. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is, now that I've set this up, is update in Answer AI, or get the production URL here. And then in Answer AI, I can just put this URL here, and that's it. And I can just say preview chunks. Look at that. It's now given us our information. It's given the URL that it came from, the webhook. We could customize this in a lot of different ways that we wanted to, but basically what this is doing is it's getting this information. So because it has this URL in here, it knows where to get the most up-to-date information. But we also can store this because this is just one document, right? As you grow your business, you're going to have many documents. And that's one of the powers of Answer AI is you can centralize all of your content into this one place. So now that I have this, I can just load it in here. Now I can just delete, I knew that was going to happen, delete this old plain text one. But since I can't right now, and there's a bug, I'm going to do the best thing, which is just delete this item here so that there's no characters. All right, so now we have ours. And if we ever need to go in and view it, we can just click on there. We can go in here. We can actually edit this from directly in here, but I don't want to do that because I want the source document to be in here. It's just easier to collaborate with people and work with different people there. So we have our Travel Smart business. Now, how do we give this access to our Persona Sidekick? Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and we're going to go to our Persona Sidekick. But before, we're going to add so under tools, there is a tool called there's a couple different ways. We could just say request get. I could just pull this in here and add the URL and a description. Use this URL to get the latest information about the business to get information about the business. We'll just keep it that. And I'm going to just connect this tool. So now when I go here, and just by that simple tool, I can now go here and say, create a persona base for a budget. I'm going to actually expand this a little bit and open this up and create a persona for a budget-friendly traveler that likes adventure. And we go here. Great. Hello, I am the user Persona Sidekick. I'm here to help you create a detailed user persona. To get started, please provide me with the following information. So if you remember, the prompt says, ask the user this first. So it's asking me that. It's for a marketing campaign. I want to focus on younger personas that do not have families and always looking for deals, maybe. I don't know. Let's just say that. Let's see what it comes back with. Analyze the business objectives documents for more info about Travel Smart AI. I'm not going to give it any relevant URLs or anything right now. So let's start there. So I'm just going to say here, so please upload the business objective document. Use your tools. This is where the prompting can come in, because sometimes you just have to tell it to, like, hey, you already have this information, use your tool. So here we go. So let's take a look. So it got the information. So as you can see, it got the information from our N8N, from our document. It got the most up-to-date information based off of what is in there. It says, I have analyzed the business objectives for Travel Smart AI. Here's a summary of the key features and target audience, which will inform the creation of the marketing persona. So it gave here a Travel Smart AI overview and the focus. So I have it usually write out these things in its history, just even though it's reiterating it, it kind of has it. It's kind of like it's self-taking notes of what to review. So now it's creating this. So we have a Travel Smart AI user persona for the budget-friendly adventurous travel. Demographics, age 22 to 35, gender diverse with a slight lean towards male, location, urban centers with access to international flights, so New York, San Francisco, family status single, since we did, or in a relationship without children, and college educated. We could probably play with that. Maybe that depends on what we're trying to go for here. Now, psychographics, so values, like self-expression, they like cultural immersion, spontaneity, some of their interests, right? Travel, outdoor activities, local experiences, photography. These are just, so when it first does the first draft, it just starts brainstorming ideas. So it's really to get your own ideas flowing of, oh yeah, they would like this or they would like that. Really try to get into the mindset of your customer persona. Media consumption. So preferred channels, Instagram, YouTube, travel blogs, forums like Lonely Planet. We want to do influencers, websites, different pain points. We have, they're finding affordable travel options that are culturally rich yet adventurous. And concerns, balancing budget constraints with travel aspirations and the fear of missing out on unique experiences. Their purchasing process, cost effective, cultural value of experiences, peer recommendations is a big one, yes. Barriers, the hidden travel costs, unreliable booking options, and lack of real-time support. Okay. Here are my options. So if you remember, we gave short codes in our instructions, so we can refine it with additional information. We can search the web. Let's do that. So all I have to do here is I could just say, hey, search the web, or I could do that. Or I can just type E. And that's one of the nice things about short codes. It's kind of like going through. So it's asking, please let me know which specific aspect of the persona you'd like to expand upon. Let's say let's say the media consumption, so I can get an idea of, or maybe some of the travel sites that they're using. What are some of the different things that are out there to get that? So it searched the internet, and now it's actually going to give me a lot more information about this. And once again, you can see it used the EXA Search results to get information across the web based off of this. And then I could just go and work with this. Now I want to search the web, and maybe I want to expand E. So here I'm going to do E, psychographics. Now I'm going to see, does it go ahead? Yep, it's searching the web now based off the psychographics. So you can kind of with it, you can just talk with it and just help you brainstorm how this is going to react. So, the values, authenticity, sustainability, their interests, like off the grid adventures, cultural immersion, technology disconnect. That's a really important piece, especially in your marketing, right? Like when you're targeting them, you don't want to talk so much about, use AI the whole time you're on vacation, but use it to plan your vacation so that you can be disconnected. But yet, it is just in case you need. So that's a very important thing to know about. Maybe technology disconnected is very important to that persona. And then digital nomads, how can you make it for people that want to merge work and travel? Trust me, if you ever have the chance to do it, I was able to do it living in Thailand in 2013. One of the best experiences of my life, traveling Southeast Asia and being a digital nomad, working on websites. So hopefully that's the type of freedom that going through this course, this gives you. And I can just go through here. One of my favorite ones to ask, though, is this F. Give me 10 questions that you can ask to help refine the persona. And right here is like triggers the travel decision-making process for this persona. How often does this persona travel, and how do they balance work and travel, and what are the key factors? What I could do is I could just say search the web for each of these and answer it, and give me a full, rich, and detailed persona. So now we're going through, it's searching the web, all these questions that it's asking, it's trying to find out the answer to all this information about this type of persona, and it's going through based off the extensive research and insights gathered. It is now creating a more detailed, I believe more detailed. I may have to work with the prompt on it. It should have given me a more detailed with more of the details. But as you can see here, it actually searched the web 5 times for 5 different options. So whenever you see the tool being used. Now, why it didn't give me more information, I bet, is because of this. So under max tokens, I'm a 4,000, which is a pretty long response to it. It's probably getting cut off and trying to do it under its normal response there. So let's see if I can get that to expand on each of these with very comprehensive and detailed info. All right, so it's going to go through. It's going to expand on it. Oh, so this model's maximum context length is 128 tokens. However, your messages resulted in 140,000 tokens and 102 in the functions. Please reduce the length. So if you see this, this is where you get into the different pieces. So this is a good thing to go over, what memory. So right here, we're just essentially just storing the chat history as memory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this memory. And what I'm going to do is add a different memory node. And for this one, I'm not going to add agent memory for this. I'm going to add what's called a buffer memory window. So basically I can say how many, and I'm just going to say the last 2 for it and connect it. So that way it doesn't try to do the entire. There's ones that'll try to summarize your memory and all of that stuff, but let's just see what happens here. The full expanded version with tons of details. Let's see if we run into that. Oh no, because we deleted it. It doesn't have access that it has that. So we're going to go up here and we're going to copy this. All right. So we're going through here. It's grabbing it, grab the business information. So it gave us some of the same things. So we can go through this and we've talked about it. But now what do we do with it? Well, now that's where we're going to use Airtable. And that's going to be the last thing that we do is store these personas in Airtable so that we can use them in our future automations for writing blogs and for social media posts and all of our marketing content that we're going to write this week. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our business and we're going to rename this to Travel Smart AI for the base. And I'm going to add a new table here and I'm going to start from scratch and we're going to say customer personas. And here we're going to give it a name, which will be the name of it. We're going to then choose these different items that we're looking for. So demographics, psychographics, media consumption. Now, I like to store these in separate fields. It's really up to personal preference. The reason being is that you sometimes want to have, for different prompting, maybe you just want the demographics. Sometimes you just want the media consumption, but this allows you to kind of pick and choose what it is. So I'm just going to add fields here for demographics, psychographics, and choose long text. I'm going to choose media consumption as a field, long text, create field, and then pain points. We're going to long text. All of these will be long text. And then purchasing process. We're just going to have these for right now. Now in the future, we're going to be also connecting what social media campaigns, what blogs were written there. And that way, when you're creating your content calendar, you can identify, oh, we actually need more content that's related to the pain points of the adventure traveler versus the family traveler versus the executive traveler. So we'll start relating them here. But by putting this in here, we're able to kind of start to create a bunch of different ones for different campaigns. So now, how do we get this into Airtable? Well, you can go in and you can just work with it, different items for those different pieces, or going to go here, and because this is where I'm going to have to work with the prompting a little bit. If you notice here, it grabbed this and it said personalize. I want to say it didn't give me any of the stuff for demographics or anything. So I'm going to just tell it again that I want this information. So basically what I'm going here is I'm just telling it once again to just give me all the info, just to like remind, like, hey, I wanted these things. Hey, give us a different demographics, some different psychographics are roughly the same thing for that. Added TikTok, didn't have TikTok last time. Purchasing process. So as you can see here, depending on, the probability, you're going to get different options. So this is why you also want to use this to store. So either I could go in here and I could just copy and paste these things in there, or we could create a tool to just create it for us. And that's what we're going to do next. So if you remember, how we can create a tool in is by going into N8N, and I'm going to go into our workflow. And I'm going to create another one. I'm going to create an Airtable, a webhook. Always start with a webhook for your tools. I'm going to change this to a post because this is going to be a tool that can be used to create a persona record in our Airtable. So we're going to leave everything else. We're going to say respond. And in this case, we're going to say respond immediately. Actually, no, we're going to be using the respond to webhook node. The reason being is because we're going to want to get the Airtable record ID back so that we can update our persona if we want to make changes. And I'll show you how to do that. Maybe not tonight because this one's already getting kind of long, but I did want to finish this up. So when it's posted there, we're going to go in and we are going to insert a record into Airtable. So we're going to go ahead and say create or update a record. So we have here, we're going to select our Travel Smart AI and we're going to choose the customer personas table. So the Travel Smart AI base, customer personas table. And then this is automatically matching on the ID. None of these will have IDs coming in. So it will just automatically create a new one. And then here we have things for name, demographics, psychographics, media consumption, pain points, purchasing process, etc. So how do we get this information in here? Well, if you remember, what we're going to do is we're going to have a respond, the webhook, and we're going to have it respond here. So I'm going to actually remove this so that we can actually just test this webhook. I'm going to remove the Airtable for right now and just connect it directly to respond to webhook, just so that I can test it and make sure that everything is working well. So in order to create this in Answer, we go over here to our tools. And if we go over to Marketplace Tools, we choose the N8N Webhook Custom Tools. We're going to use this template, so click the Use Template button. And for this one, we're going to call it Create Customer Persona. Use this when you need to create or update a customer persona's details. And here I'm going to pass in the information that we want to send. So I'm going to change this to name. I'm going to say the name of the customer persona. And that's going to be the only one that's going to be required. Then the rest of them, I'm going to then paste in the rest of the items. So we have our demographics, our psychographics, and all of the other pieces that we talked about. Oh, I thought I did that. All right, so we're going to just basically paste these over here. So I'm just going to make them all lowercase. And so I'm going to say the demographics of, and I'm just going to add each of these as a string to it. So this is just so that I can make sure that it is in that structured content. Like I said, if you're not putting this in structure, you just want to put it on one field, that's fine too. But you're going to see later why this is important. So we're going here, the psychographics. Now we're going to add another one for the media consumption. So when putting these variable names here, so as you can see, this is 2 words. Make sure that you do what's called camel case, which just means the first one's lowercase. This is just an engineering thing, but the most important thing is that there's no spaces. You can also do an underscore if you like those better. You can also do hyphens. I've seen all of those being used, but I like camel case the best. Really personal preference. Big takeaway, do not have spaces in your property names. That's it. The description, you can. We're going through here, media consumption. Now we have pain points. Oh, remember, no spaces. Pain points, string. So we've added in here all the different properties that this tool is going to need. The name, the demographics, the psychographics, the media consumption, the pain points, and now that we've added them in here, we need to also add them in here. So we're going to copy all of these out exactly as they are in here. Now we've added this to the body. We have our demograph, our psychographics, our media consumption, our purchasing process, and our pain points all added to our body object. That's what this is called. It's a JSON object to then send over to our agent. So now that we have this, we can now simply just choose this. We fill out our production and testing URLs. So if you remember from yesterday where you get your testing and production URLs, if you go into the webhook for it and copy the test URL and put that here, and then you have your production URL, which goes here. Since we're testing this right now, I'm going to comment out the production URL for right now, but it's there. So when we want to go back and launch this, it is there. Cool. So now we have added this tool. And now when I go into my tools, I now have this create user persona. So now when I go into my Persona Sidekick to add it and so it can use this tool, we're going to add our custom tool node here. We're going to choose our new create customer persona and we're going to add it. All right, so now that we've added that tool, we have this. Let's see if it can go ahead and just create this persona in Airtable. So I'm going to say create persona in Airtable based on this info. So let's see what it does without some additional prompting. All right, looks like the tool's being used. Oh, I bet you I know what's going to happen. Wants to say it with me. I forgot to Seems there was an issue creating the personas in Airtable. I bet you when we see the tool response, we'll remember why, because I did not hit the test workflow. So therefore, it is not working. So if you notice though, the tool input, name, demographics, psychographics, so it went ahead and it sent all of the right information. But the problem is we had code 404, click test workflow to have it work. So we're going to do that. We're going to listen for a new test event and we're going to say simply try again. All right, let's see if it's working. It seems to be calling it. And let's see what happens. Oh, look, we got it. Look at that. In the body, we got demographics, psychographics, media consumption, purchasing process. Great. Now that we have that information, now we can now connect that information to Airtable and then have it return back the Airtable item. So in order to do that, we open up Airtable. And now since we've sent our test event, we can actually see what's in the body. Now, all we got to do is just copy it on over. Demographics, psychographics, media consumption. We forgot purchasing process as one. So what happens when that? Let's see. Oh, nope. It wasn't located. I wonder why. All right, let's add purchasing process back. There we go. All right. So we now have these. Name. Didn't give me a name. That's really interesting, actually, because that is literally the only one that was actually required as part of that tool. Tool input, name, young budget friendly traveler. Well, let's try that again. So we're going to say test the workflow. So now we're going to say try again. And we have this waiting for test. And let's see. We got the item. It's sending it and it created it. Let's see if it responded to Answer AI. Look at that. Has been created. Here it is. And it sends back that information. Now if I look in Airtable, look at that. We now have this. It's not putting it in our name, but because we now have, let's go into this Airtable node. Let's see if it actually sent the name. This is interesting. This one doesn't have the name either. I'm just going to do this because I know what it is. I'm just going to say expression. Try one more time. So now it's going through. It's going to send the same one through. I forgot to hit test workflow. Did I hit it in time? Oh, I did. Cool. Good to know. I was able to quickly go in there and hit test workflow. So now it created it again. Let's see. This one still didn't have the name. I don't know what's going on, why that name is not being sent over. Let's take a look at, I know why it's not being sent over. I know exactly why it's not sent over. Let's take a look at this. Aha, there's no name in the body, even though the input had the name. I'm not including it in my, when I call. Here it is. That's why. I'm going to save this. Now, one more time. Watch me get a copyright for that. Daft Punk for you. Let's see if it did it. Oh, no, I forgot. Testing workflow. Hey. All right. It got successfully created. And there it is. There's our name. So now we have the ability to now start storing our customer profiles in here with the different demographics, the psychographics, media consumption, and pain points. And now we can start using this information inside of all of our new and inside of all of the workflows and automations that we're going to be creating throughout this week. So just to recap, we connected a sidekick to the internet using EXA.ai. We went through the Persona Sidekick and that prompt and how you can build just really detailed customer personas for your business. And how to then put those personas in Airtable and have your sidekick go ahead and put them in there, and so that you can start using them for what we're going to be going over next, which is writing blog posts with AI. So, in our next episode, we're going to be talking about how you can use those personas to start creating very rich blog posts using both the web search for your research and also your personas and what your business does. All of that context is going to give you amazing first draft blog posts. I'm going to show you that tomorrow in the 60 Days to Automate Challenge. So this was a bit of a long one today, but excited to have this persona. We now have new tools like the web available. And with that, I really appreciate everyone who came and joined me in this live stream. If you find this content valuable, please subscribe to us on YouTube, also our different social media channels, and also you can download all of these resources and stay up to date and work with our community at digitalatscale.com. So I'll see you tomorrow.